That's hilarious.
Dustin.
Her bra size is blah, 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 blah. Hey, you fucks, this is Everyone's Wrong. I'm Dave, a.k.a. the Security Risk.
I'm Dustin Dark, a.k.a. the Hipster Hillbilly.
And I'm Ed, a.k.a. the Single New.
Oh, advertising. That's the way you do it, Ed.
That's right.
That is the way you do it.
Now.
By the way, if anyone's wondering why my name this week lacked the typical bite that it usually has, Dave came up with it instead of me. So, full apologies. That's why it wasn't quite as funny as it usually is, because I didn't come up with it. But go ahead, now that Dave's chasing down a dog.
Oh, my fucking dog is really annoying me today. He's got allergies and he's fucking 130 pounds. So when he wrestles around, it sounds like a fucking herd of newfies. I was going to say, Ed's telling everybody he's single, not throwing it out there, but he's throwing it out there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good
and
deal.
throwing it out there.
Yeah. What's new in the world of Dustin Dark? Anything exciting?
Not really. Got new tires on my bike. Brought it home. I've been riding it with a 4-year-old tag, unregistered because we're having some title issues. It's all in the mail though. It's been taken care of. This is the
Tricycle that you purchased? Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah, that 750cc V4 500-pound motorcycle. Yeah. It's got more power than my car does on a 500-pound frame. Yeah, tricycle. Well, when I was getting the tires on it, the guy
Did he hit a sore spot there, Dustin?
Yeah, a little bit. When the guy was tightening the chain on my bike for me, he noticed that the master link didn't have the clip on it that locks it in place. So
nice.
I went about 200 or so miles on the bike, with the chain just kind of being there.
It was probably rusted shut.
Well, we lubed up real nice actually a little while ago. I'm slightly disappointed that Chris, the
You and Chris were lubing
biker,
things
didn't. We are in Alabama. Hey, I know that song by heart. Fuck you.
No, fuck Chris.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, that's old school. Come on, look at something new now. No, that saved me a world of pain. Likely, if that chain would have come off, could have cut me or locked up the wheel or any number of horrific things.
Yeah, and then you could have been stranded with an expired tag and been arrested like I was for running out of gas.
Man, I've had cops get behind me with the expired tag, and they haven't bothered me yet.
Well, they just haven't looked at it.
The police tend to leave motorcyclists alone unless they're actually causing trouble.
Okay.
And that's just the way, it's not a universal thing by any means. No, I've had cops wave at me, like on bikes, come up behind me and wave at me. So, no, they're just chill about it.
They're just telling you to stop. The red lights, Dustin.
Man, if you think
this isn't hello, this is pull over.
I thought we were racing. I didn't know. My bad. Dave, what's this about you and my dad fighting on Facebook, man? Like over and over. He actually called me. He called me. He was like, I'm sorry, son. I had to unfriend your friend there. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know who this Dave Evers guy is, but he really got kind of mean there and pissed, and pissed me off too. I'm thinking, yeah. It's fucking hilarious, man.
Your dad got all salty because Dave was kicking his ass.
here's the thing about your dad, right?
Yeah.
Is he likes to try to say really gnarly things to you and act like he doesn't care. So I thought, okay, if you want to try to say gnarly things, let's get fucking gnarly. So I trounced him for a little bit.
Yeah, no, fair enough. He goes, Justin, I'm just a patriot. When he was talking about America, and I was like, yeah, he's a patriot. You're talking about Canada. Like, what do you? It's fair game, man.
Yeah, no, it's completely fair. And then I took, God damn it, Humphrey. Then I took his hillbilly card because only hipsters drink fucking Paps. Sorry.
Oh man, he is so upset about that. He is so upset that we took PBR from him. Dave said what did you call him? You called him something, and he's like, I'm a fucking redneck. I drink PBR.
I said, okay. This is the most un-redneck statement in the history of rednecks. A nice craft brew is like a fine wine.
Yeah, he did.
I thought, motherfucker, you're supposed to be a hillbilly. I told him, I said, look, hillbilly card revoked. And he's like, fuck you. I'm the king of hillbillies. I drink fucking Paps. I'm like, fuck you.
He drinks Modelo. He drinks a bunch of Modelo. Like that's him and his girlfriend. Yes, right there. What you got?
Not bad.
I didn't say it was bad. I'm just saying that's what he tends to drink. Yeah, that's what he tends to drink, though. Fucking.
Yeah, it's not bad. I tried it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
If he's drinking Coors.
Coors is the fucking worst.
Look, I didn't know that he was getting upset for real. I just thought, you want to say shit, I'm going to say shit back. He unfriended me. I didn't even notice that he unfriended me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, fair enough. No, my dad, he, he's a mechanical genius, but he's not so good with his words. And he's not terribly well read. So, he spends his time drinking beer and chasing skirt and turning wrenches. Like he's not ready for, like when I argue with him, it's not a fair fight. It's like boxing a toddler,
Well, the reason why I'll be honest, okay, I'm making light of it. The reason why I said that I really went after him there was because he denied the fact that we have fought in every war. He said that it was bullshit that we don't. So it's just like, it's factually untrue and it's super disrespectful.
He started telling me about the War of 1812, like he called me. Yeah. He like drunk the other day.
Yeah.
He was telling me about the War of 1812. And that's weird because he knows nothing about history. Like I know a lot about history.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me that he's talking to me about history for the first time ever. And then he goes, I think it's Rush Limbaugh's been off, so Mark Stein's been talking about the War of 1812 on his program.
Here we go.
And I was like, you just picked it up on Republican radio because Trump made a joke about it. So they're like, let's explain Trump's joke to everybody. That's fucking all it was. Anyway, we're wasting time here at the beginning of this beautiful show. How are you, Ed?
I am fabulous.
I bet you are.
Turning 40 in the AM, so.
Ooh.
Yeah.
During this show, you will hear Ed hit middle age.
Yeah, in approximately 1 minute. My time.
Middle age is like 27 in Newfoundland. He's in the back nine.
That's dirty, you fuck. That's dirty.
I'm old as dirt, dude.
They usually get drunk and fall down the stairs by now.
Yeah, but I don't drink, so that's the thing.
Oh, that's why you've lived fucking twice as long as anybody else ever in Newfoundland.
Our diet, it doesn't help.
Yeah, your diet doesn't help? You fry everything?
Well, they used to. I mean, it's evolved dramatically in one generation. It's amazing how different life has been, like in the last 20 years, say. Everything used to be deep fried, salted, and, whatever. But now it's like hippie type food, like hipster type food.
Okay.
It's really weird. You're getting food from all over the world, which never happened before.
So like food that everybody else has been eating forever?
Like stuff you've been having for 50 years. We're getting it.
Dustin, do you know what a Newfie steak is?
I assume it's just a large piece of cod.
No. You take bologna and you cut thick cut bologna, cut little scores in the end so that it kind of pearls when you're, and that's what they consider steak. Bologna.
We call
I
it steak,
ate a million fried bologna sandwiches growing up. Look, me and Ed.
They eat it with peas.
That doesn't surprise me. Me and Ed have a fair amount of like cultural
gay sex together.
Shared culture over food and that type of thing. Well, the Irish settled.
Yes.
The Newfoundland there, where the Scotch Irish settled, Appalachia and Alabama. So
tons of Scottish in Newfoundland too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a large shared heritage there. I literally had to say, even the score, the way you talk about scoring it, we would do that. My mom would actually cut a triangle out of one side of it. But everyone else around, scores it and, does a little fold and toast some bread, fry some bacon. Put a little mayonnaise on that motherfucker.
Slather that shit in mayonnaise. Not a little bit of mayonnaise.
No. Did I say a little? Because I didn't mean a little. I meant a lot. Yeah. Okay.
You said a little.
I was thinking about the bacon coming up next. Anyway, man, I'm getting lost here.
I'm hungry here.
What are we talking about? Fuck.
Okay, so yeah. I've been angry all week. And you know what? I let shit get to me just because I think I expected a little too much from other people, and I should know not to do that.
Like who?
And I don't mean anybody personally in my life.
Okay, I know I let you down, Dave. Just tell me what I did.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Neither of you. I just mean, like, this whole thing is letting me down. Like, anyways, we'll talk about it after the break. But it's not just the Americans that are letting me down. Like, people sending stuff to the embassy and whatnot. It's a big letdown, all of it. Anyways, we'll be right back from the break and we'll talk about it. All right, we're back from the break, and in the first segment tonight, Dustin's going to talk about why it's okay to hate men, or everybody should hate men, or why can't we hate men, or chop dicks off. I don't know.
I'm going to read from the Washington Post here, and their motto is "Democracy dies in darkness." So they're going to illuminate us here, give us a little bit of guidance. And this is an opinion piece written by a Susanna Danuta Walters, who is a professor of sociology and director of the Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies program at Northeastern University, and is
color me not surprised about her tenure or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that she is she's very pedigreed here. She's the editor of Gender Studies journal Signs.
Science?
Signs, S-I-G-N-S is the name of.
Okay. I thought you said science.
Yeah, that's the name of the journal, Signs, that she is the editor of. So, this is not some random crazy lady. This is an authority in her field. And let's see what she has to say. Which, by the way, at the top, is a picture of Harvey Weinstein. Why?
Yeah, can I just say one thing real quick? You said she's not just some random crazy lady. I don't care if she's an authority in her field. She's crazy.
Oh yeah, she's still a crazy lady, just not a random crazy lady.
She's the crazy lady.
Yes.
She has expertise
in being a crazy lady. Leader, yes, she is a leader in being a cat woman. Yes, cat lady. So once again, picture of Weinstein up top. Why? Because we're all Weinstein. It's not that Eric Schneiderman, the now former New York Attorney General accused of abuse by multiple women, pushed me over the edge. My edge has been crossed for a long time. Before President Trump, before Harvey Weinstein, before mansplaining and incels. Because fuck the virgins, guys.
Bring it, sister.
And fuck men that feel like they should explain things to women. And these are links, by the way, before live streaming sexual assaults. Which is not a link. Why is that one not a link if it's a live okay. And red pill men's groups and rape camps as a tool of war. And
men's groups? How dare they?
Rape camps.
Right.
There's camps for this shit?
I want to look through this list of links real quick, because one of these things are not like the other. Mansplaining incels, red pill men groups, and rape camps as a tool of war, and the deadening banality of male prerogative. I want to see what this rape camp is. Surely not in America, which is what everything else here she's talking about is going on. Oh, Serbs enslaved Muslim women at rape camps. Oh, okay. You kind of slid that one in under the rug, didn't you? You crazy fucking
that's
cunt.
happened all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny that you didn't mention, all the rape gangs in Europe while you're shitting on men. I wonder why you didn't name that particular problem.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. But you named the Serbs fucking with the Muslims. Interesting choice you have. And okay, moving on in the article, staying in this indisputably true context, it seems logical to hate men. Yeah, just
industry is really true.
It seems logical to hate men. I can't lie. I've always had a soft spot for the radical feminist smackdown for naming the problem in no uncertain terms. You mean being a cunt?
Did you masturbate to it?
I've rankled at the but we don't hate men protestations of generations of would-be feminists and found the, quote, men are not the problem, the system is, quote, obfuscation too precious by half. So let's get that right. What she's saying is that she does hate men, and men are the problem, not the system. Men are the problem.
And you notice how she anybody who doesn't agree with her, any woman who doesn't agree with her is automatically not intelligent enough, not a true feminist,
not illuminated. So, do men have the right to hate women for the stuff that they do? Just asking for a friend.
I'm going to say that she would say no, but my answer would be that what is good for the goose is good for the gander.
Okay, but because I I notice other people are saying it now, but I've been saying something for a couple of years, and it's toxic femininity. And then when they say, what do you mean by that? I mean, like, well, you know, the woman that uses the geeky guy for money, the one that gets the guy into a fight for no reason, the one that hits a guy knowing that he can't hit her back. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. Like, okay, the fact that feminists try to deny that there's such thing as the friend zone, like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand.
I know, that's hilarious.
I don't understand why they fight it. Like, you're the no means no camp. Understanding that there is a friend zone, that is the ultimate no.
Mm-hmm.
That's a never. Okay. Why would you not want?
But that's I'll take your money.
Right.
I'll take your ride
that's
from
the other
you.
end. That's the other
I'll
end.
bitch about my boyfriend.
Right. That's the other end of it. You nailed it, right? So they are willing to sacrifice the no means no in order to keep open the idea that, even if you have feelings for me, you should still just be my friend and do things for me. Anyway, which is just manipulation and man hate. But let's get back into this article.
I don't hate women. I just want
to. I don't hate women either. I'm no incel. Anyway,
I don't even dislike women. I like you a lot. There's one listening. Hi, bro.
I think Jeannie gave up on us a while ago. Yeah.
Oh,
if there's a second woman, write us. I don't believe we're out there. You can reach us at everyone'swrong.podcast@gmail.com.
After this, there's probably no more women listening.
No kidding. From the article. But of course, the criticism of this blanket condemnation of men from transnational feminists who decry such glib universalisms to U.S. women of color who demand an intersectional perspective are mostly on the mark. These critics rightly insist on an analysis of male power as an institutional, not narrowly personal or individual or biologically based in male bodies. Growing movements to challenge a masculinity built on domination and violence and to engage boys and men in feminism are both gratifying and necessary. Please continue. So she's saying, you keep fighting your fight. I'm just going to fucking hate men over here.
Here, hang on one second. I just want to say something. The biological violent nature of men. Okay. Bitch, we wouldn't have made it out of Paleolithical times if men weren't like that. It's just we wouldn't have.
Okay. I have a couple.
And I wouldn't say it's violence. I would say it's aggression and risk taking. You know,
I have a couple. This is the same camp that says there's no such thing as biological sex, too, right? This is the same group that says that when you transition from male to female to male, you're automatically a male. So
I don't know if she's saying that.
Well, she's part of that gender study.
Well, she's putting herself outside of it by saying that she
sure is.
She's more hardcore than
yeah.
I bet she would get along with TERFs.
But what I'm saying is,
which are the ones that don't like.
Yeah, it's the trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Yeah.
Well, a question: if a woman transitions to a male, does she lose her female privilege card?
I've seen it happen. There was that thing at the university where there was a woman or a girl at university, teenager, ran for presidency of the school before she transitioned. After he transitioned, now he's a man. They went after him because he was white and now a man, and he had white male privilege, and kicked him off of his presidency.
Well, as far as that goes, I've seen one of these, like Now This, Vox type of things do, one of their videos where it is a woman that transitioned to a man and says, like, now when I make jokes, people laugh at my jokes when they didn't laugh before. And now when I talk, people listen to me. So I see the privilege. Like, are you sure that you're not fucking jacked on testosterone and are actually being more assertive? Are you sure? Are you sure that maybe you're not being a little more funny because men are funnier?
But there was that feminist that dressed up like a guy for a little while.
Yes,
and joined the bowling club, but realized that shit just wasn't happening anymore. Like people used to open doors for her. Like if she was a little bit short on a cab ride, the cabbie would still give her a ride home. It just, people were just like, you're a guy, fuck off now,
As far as that goes, she realized that guys have a different sort of emotionality, where they didn't open up in the same way, but open up in a different way. And then when she would open up, it would be, she would be accepted much more by the individual than she would be by like a group of women. No one was ever raw and emotional until someone was. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the thing where guys talk shit to your face, like fuck you, you cocksucker, like we do. And then when you walk away, they're like, he's a good dude though. I like that dude. That's the type of affection that men have for each other. And by playing that role, she found that too. It's very interesting.
Because, I find it very, very interesting that the claim she made is that men are biologically more aggressive.
Oh yeah, in the article,
I agree. Mm-hmm. But she's coming from a camp that says there's no such thing as biological sex, because if there is anything like biological sex, then there is. You can't claim transgenderism, which so.
Agreed, but I don't want to beat her over the head with her camp. She has plenty of her own words that we can hang her with here. So, but I see the cognitive dissonance that you're talking about. There's a lack of continuity in thought, for her to be in that camp. But I bet you she's more of a TERF, than she's letting on. Going on, in the article, but this recognition of the complexity of male domination, how different it can be in different parts of the world, how racism shapes it. So now male domination is somehow based in racism or shaped by racism. And this must not mean we forget some universal facts. Pretty much everywhere in the world, this is true. Women experience sexual violence. Here's a sentence to go with that. Pretty much everywhere in the world, people experience sexual violence. Men everywhere, children, little boys, little girls. The world is a fucking rough place, honey. And the threat of that violence permeates our choices, big and small. We all live our life that way. It's not just women. We all make decisions in case of terrible things happening and in case of violence. Like, I lock my doors because we live in a world where violence happens, violence of all sorts. In addition, male violence is not restricted to intimate partner attacks or sexual assaults, but plagues us in the form of terrorism and mass gun violence. And you know what?
Hang on 1 second. I want to give you a stat. And, obviously men kill more than women.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But women are more likely when they do kill to kill a loved one or somebody that they know than men are.
Mm-hmm. Well, men commit most of the violence, but they also commit that violence largely against men.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is one of those, like, Muslims are largely the victims of Muslims. Men are largely the victims of men. So once again, this, like, stop taking my victimhood, cunt. That's mine. Moving on in the article. Women are underrepresented in high wage jobs, local and federal government, business, educational leadership, etc. Wage inequality continues. Okay, before we move on to wage inequality, I'll tell you what other jobs men are overrepresented in. I would like you to stop and look at every brick you've ever seen in your life and realize that a man put it there. How many bricklayers, women bricklayers have you come across, Dave?
None.
Yeah, me either.
That's a legit statement. 20 years in construction, I've never seen a woman bricklayer.
Right, okay. Look out across those parking lots and realize that men paved those. All your buildings. When that hurricane comes through and your power goes out and before the storm is over, it comes back in, know that was a man going out in that storm, going up on a ladder into fucking electrical lines and fixing it so that you can be okay. Okay.
And not much mention sewer cleaners.
Right. They bitch about the high end. And frankly, these men being overrepresented in high end jobs, does it help either of us? Does it help any men besides those men? I don't believe it does.
No.
So why do I get beat over the head with it?
And again, just because it's an overrepresentation of men in those places, does that mean that women have not achieved high positions? Is it because it's more likely that a man will do it because most men are more work oriented, meaning working longer hours, and they don't have to delay careers for pregnancy and things like that? There was a rational reason for that.
Well, it's the same thing that I think puts men at the top of violence statistics and invention, any sort of extremes. Men tend to feel the extremes. Just biologically, women gather around the mean and men don't. But at the same time, men, it is our role to carry out action, to imprint on the world. That is what we have always done. It is a necessity of us. That's how we got civilization.
Women are smarter when it comes to jobs. They yes. balance career with family life and friendship, and they don't want to be tied to work so much. It's actually a smarter way to work, but they're not, it's not seen it like that.
They have better sense than to go out in a fucking, power truck in a tornado and fix power lines.
Well, but there's jobs that women are overrepresented in,
yes.
like
nursing,
teaching,
doctors, therapy. I'll tell you something. I in the years that I've been dealing with autism therapists, I've never come across a male, and I've seen hundreds. I've mentioned it to them. I'm like, we're like, guys don't apply for this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no, so.
Never occurred to me.
And here's this is so anecdotal, but before Parker was in the dance school that he's in now, he was in another one that I pulled him out of because we went in there. It was all pink, but it advertised for boys and girls, and it all over the place signs. Girls are rock stars. Nothing, no mention of boys. I asked him where the change room was, and I saw 2 change rooms. Both had a girl sign on them. So I said, "Where's the boys' change room?" They said the washroom. I said, "You mean the washroom that the public uses? You want me to take my 5-year-old child in there and change him?" I said, "Yeah, we're out of here." So I mean, there are places in society where I'm not saying that there aren't shitty fucking misogynist men, because there are, but there's also
how many women's shelters are there?
Yeah, all of them.
Well, women are overrepresented in college right now, in pretty much every field except for STEMs. And then they're very upset that they don't have equal representation in STEM. As far as that goes, in my age range, guys, women make more money than men do. Mm-hmm. Because they haven't had the family and the kids, and they have the better education, and they're working smarter jobs. So of course they do. Of course they do. So we have, we're going to move into the wage gap, and I just, real quick, of course, the wage gap is a different in earnings, not a different in same work, same pay. So, we don't want to waste time explaining it. Let's just blow through it. Women are underrepresented in high wage jobs, local and federal government, businesses, educational leadership, etc. Wage inequality continues to permeate every economy in almost every industry. Women continue to provide far higher rates of unpaid labor in the home, e.g. child care, elder care for disabled individuals, housework, and food provisions.
Unpaid, that's your home.
Right. Here's the thing. When we go home and we cut grass, when we fucking fix the car, when we fucking, fix the sink, and, that's not unpaid labor.
Or if a dude stays home and takes care of the kids.
Right. Well, that's what they're saying. Women are overrepresented in those particular things of taking care of elderly and children.
Oh, okay.
They do that far more often.
Well, yeah.
Women have less access to education. That is not true in the first world, you lying cunt. No. Particularly at the higher levels, women have lower rates of property ownership. Once again, not so much in the first world as in this third. But slide on the property there. The list goes on. It varies by country, but these global realities of women's economic, political, and social and sexual vulnerabilities are, well, real. And you like how she is tapping into the oppression of women in the Middle East.
Yes.
Right. And doing it she's mashing it all through as if it's equally bad across the entire globe.
I mean, she's basically doing blackface here. Like she's parading around in their suffering when her life, I would assume, as a professor at an elite university, has been pretty fucking swell. It might have been a rough startup, but she's turned out pretty well, hasn't she?
Here, I'm going to coin a new phrase. Victimhood appropriation.
Ooh, snap.
There you go. I like the phrasing there, Dave. So in this moment here in the land of legislative, legitimate, toxic masculinity,
I hate that fucking term so much.
Is it really so illogical to hate men for all the power of hashtag Me Too and hashtag Time's Up in the women's marches? Only a relatively few men have been called to task. And I've yet to see a mass wave of prosecutions or even serious recognition of wrongdoing. I'm not going to keep running through this. And by the way, cunt, that's because we have a legal system. We have to prove these things. What you're seeing is mass smear campaigns of men. Okay. I get to find out about Jamie Foxx slapping some bitch in the face with his dick. Okay. That is what you've achieved. That's what you've achieved with your movement.
Mental image, sorry.
Holy shit. You know what? Let me do a quick parody of this article. Why can't we hate black people?
Oh God.
Hold on. You know what? That one is a little close to home. Why can't we hate the Jews? They are overpaid, overrepresented. Okay. They have been, in charge of many ideologies that have led to the deaths of millions, right? Hashtag kill the Jews. Am I right, guys? No. Like, that's why. To answer your rhetorical question, honey, why you can't hate men? Because this thought pattern leads to genocide. This is called hatred. When you say things like love trumps hate, you're talking about yourself now. This is pure hatred. You admit to hatred. Hatred is supposed to be like the big boogeyman of the new progressive religion, right? Bigotry, hatred, and racism. Well, she's fucking 2 for 3. Anyway, gentlemen,
she probably hates black men too.
Well, I'm not going to say I'm sure she does. She has a hashtag not all men coming up and everything. Oh, Lord Christ. Let me, there were some beautiful, beautiful comments when it was always a hate movement. Yeah. Anyway, guys, anything else to add to this?
No. Crazy bitch. Told you she was crazy.
Oh yeah.
She should. Dave, I guess we're going to have to form the He-Man Women Haters Club, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, this cunt gets to educate your young daughter.
Yeah, that's scary.
She gets to be your son's teacher.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Once again, this isn't some loony bin, that wrote, some bullshit and sent it into the Washington Post. Hey guys, did this cast enough light to save democracy? This article?
No.
Okay.
No.
You think it might be a little full of themselves over at the Washington Post?
You think so?
Yeah.
Is that like the actual Washington Post headline?
It says, when you go to the webpage, under the Washington Post, it says, democracy dies in darkness. And frankly, don't steal my alliteration. That's mine.
Okay, so are they saying they're the illuminators of democracy?
They are.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's a quote from somewhere, that, the free press illuminates democracy.
Okay, well, there you go. That's exactly what they're...
Well, it's the free press as a whole, which we're a part of as well. If 5 people tune in and listen, so I guess we're saving democracy too, guys. How do you feel?
Yeah. I think I'm doing a better job than the Washington Post. With my drunk fucking security risk ass.
All right. You guys want to move on?
We'll take a quick break. Yeah. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. If you want to look up that feminist twat, she'll be illuminating democracy. Where do you find her?
Where do you find her? Gosh, what university was that? That was,
no, that's not a personal address.
www.stupidcunt.com.
No. You can find her at Northeastern University. Fucking look her up and send her a fucking email.
I was joking.
I'm not joking.
No. I was joking when I said no. Don't say her address because obviously she didn't put her address there.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, is it doxing when she's a public figure like that and she's got her full name out? If you give her address, it kind of is though. Eh?
No,
your home address. Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm talking about her university address. No.
What do you think, Dustin?
I think I'm Googling for her email address right now.
Okay. Phone number? I'll call her.
I mean, dude, there's a Susanna DeNutoWalters.com.
That must be her. Because how many
there.
other people that have, like, only pompous assholes use 2 last names? Or do you think one of those last names is her Cucky McCuckerson husband?
He probably took her name.
Graduated university. Oh, yeah. So, s.walters at northeasternuniversity.edu.
There you go.
There you go. And her phone number is 617-373-8519. Because fuck it. And her mailing address is 351 Holmes Hall, 360 Huntington Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts, 02115. She's, okay, honey. Keep hating.
Yeah, well, she's like,
hate on.
That's not doxing. She's.
No, it's reading out, northeastern.edu's bio on her.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Okay, we'll be right back.
All right.
All right, we're back from the break, and we're going to talk about relations, not just trade relations, but allyships and whatnot. It's pretty tense situation between. I don't want to say America and Canada. I want to say like Trump and Canada, but I have seen a lot of Americans kind of jumping on board of his rhetoric and.
You are the only person that would hear the phrase, we're going to talk about relations tonight and and go, oh, you mean trade between great nations. I see. Like that was an interesting opening. We're going to talk about relations tonight and not just trade. We're talking about trade, are we? I'm sorry. Just thought a bunch of guys there. Go on.
Yeah. Anyways, was I too?
No. You're
I
super
thought we're getting
vague.
You're
vague?
super into trade. No. You're just super into it, and it shows. You know what I mean? Like, for those listening at home, Dave. I've never known anyone that was so interested in the trade agreements that his country strikes. Dave has been reading about this not just recently because of the tariffs, but the entire time that I know him, he's been really, really interested in the NAFTA negotiations. So.
Well, I just, obviously it's part of both of our shared economies, but it's part of our relationship with the United States. And for people that don't know, I probably take it a little more seriously than most do. Would you agree?
I do.
What is it?
Like I take our allyship, our friendship,
yes.
Us being neighbors. I take it a little more seriously than most do.
I think you do. I think I do. I didn't think I did, but talking to fellow Americans recently, I take it more seriously than a lot of people in my country do. So, I
think they just don't know. Probably. Right? I don't think they know exactly. And I think that they've bought into the rhetoric of, we can just do everything by ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Trump was definitely elected on an isolationist and a protectionist platform.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people voted for him because of political correctness, and a lot of people voted for him because of the protectionist and isolationist ideals that he was pushing. Bring the less military strength and bring jobs back home. Mm-hmm. was the promise, and this is him trying to fulfill those promises. So
okay, but so NAFTA has worked out great for everybody. I'll talk about pre-Trump, so when I'll talk about the insertion of NAFTA, like when NAFTA first was brought into our societies. We actually, believe it or not, didn't want NAFTA. I was a little kid. I would have said yes if I was an adult when it happened, but the Canadians thought they were going to get screwed. And a lot of Americans didn't want free trade either because they thought that they were going to get taken advantage of, and somewhat by other countries you have been. But since then, trade has grown our economies immensely. Trade has tripled since the inception of it. Like, you guys have the means of production, and we have the resources for those means of production. So take beer kegs, for instance. We have a population of 37 million people. There is really no point in us building a fucking plant to make beer kegs. but we have a shit ton of aluminum. And you guys do have the necessity to build a plant to make beer kegs. So we sell you the aluminum, you make the kegs, and you sell it back to us at a higher price, obviously, because now the metal's been formed. That is basically how trade between U.S. and Canada works. We don't sell you a great lot of already manufactured goods other than auto parts, but even those are American-owned companies, and then they get put into American-made cars. You guys have a surplus. So trade between U.S. and Canada is about $700 billion a year. You guys have a surplus of 8.6. What that means, 8.6 billion. What that means is that we buy more stuff from you than you do from us at $8.6 billion. So Trump comes in, he says he wants to renegotiate NAFTA, so everybody's like, fine. Nobody was really happy with the fact that he wanted to, because during his campaign, his rhetoric was to cancel NAFTA because it was the worst deal in history, even though both of our economies have grown immensely for it. And the fact of the matter is too, is that during that 15 war we just had, it was free trade oil that made it possible that you didn't absolutely go fucking completely bankrupt over it. Anyways, so Trump comes in, they start negotiating. He doesn't like the fact that Trudeau is telling him, you guys have a trade surplus with us. He had to ask his own employees to go check on that to make sure. Like, how do you enter a trade negotiation without knowing that you actually are winning already in this trade? So it goes on for a little while. He doesn't like where it's going, so he decides that he's going to put tariffs on metal. Now, in order to put tariffs on metals from Canada, to make it legal, he has to call us a security risk, which is a complete slap in the face. Like calling Canada a security risk is
of course the reason he's saying that Canada is a security risk, I don't think it's so much that he believes it for one, but it is a trick of the law. It's a loophole that he's filling, where that is the only way that he can impose tariffs without approval from Congress, is to say that is to use his commander-in-chief position there. And of course, the reason he would say that the industry is a risk in the first place is that if we rely too much on other countries for these center, weapons making, aluminum, steel industries, that we could not kick into high drive for a world war type of situation. So that is the argument being made. It's not so much like Canada's going to attack us. I know you know that. I just want to make that clear for the listeners at home that that's what's going on here.
Sure, but to even say it,
I agree with you. And here's the thing: out of everything that he has said and done, this is probably the thing that offends me the most. Because a lot of times it's jokes, he's popping off at the mouth, and he's just trying to get a rise. And I definitely think this is like political posturing, and he's just trying to drive quote unquote a hard bargain.
Yeah, I did read today that he likes to trade in chaos, or he likes to negotiate in chaos. So he's trying to create some chaos. Anyway, so the tariffs that he implemented on us as your largest metal and aluminum provider is about $8 billion. I did the math, which means I Googled 8 billion divided by whatever Canada's population is, and it amounts to about $228 per Canadian citizen, which is taken out of the economy. Remember the 8 billion figure, which is going to be kind of important to what I'm saying. So moving on, Prime Minister gets pissed off, says he isn't going to be pushed around. Canada won't be bullied. Then Trump reluctantly goes to the G7, Basically, everybody saw the photos from that. He was basically being a fucking dick the entire time, crossing his arms, blah, blah. I'm so hardcore, I'm Trump. Then he's like, we should bring Russia back into the G7, even though he's causing problems with Canada and calling Canada a security risk. He wants to bring Putin back in for whatever. So everybody leaves the G7. Trudeau says the exact same thing that he's been saying for months and months. I'm going to look out for the interests of the Canadian workers. Same thing Trump's been saying the fucking entire time. And Trump loses his shit, calls Justin Trudeau weak and dishonest. Now, I would agree with that in some cases, but not in this one.
Well, in Justin's defense, he put on his big boy eyebrows and he stood up for his country.
Well, he stood up for his country. The eyebrows slid for his country.
I didn't know they made prosthetic eyebrows for men. I'm sorry to derail. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
You gave me the opportunity. Go on.
It's fine. And even if Trudeau did say something that slighted Trump,
yep.
Canada and U.S. have the type of relationship where Trump could have just called him.
Yeah.
And talked to him about it.
Yeah.
But Trump is touchy and sensitive anyway.
Yeah, I know, Ed, but you're talking about between the two countries, 400 million people now that your little attitude is gonna. So anyways, the next day, Navarro, which is one of his trade ambassadors, gets on Fox and Friends and says that there's a special place in hell for Justin Trudeau. You can't fucking do that. You can't say like that. That guy did come out and apologize. Trump hasn't come out and apologized. Then the following day, and this is where it really gets ugly for me, where I'm really like, fuck you. And like, I don't consider, Trump is in office that we can be allies. Like, I'm just like I can still remain friends with all the American citizens and that's fine and dandy. But I mean, like, our guys can't go to war for you guys anymore at this point, because he gets on there and says that he's going to punish the Canadian people for what Justin Trudeau has said. He's going to learn that you can't say that. It's going to cost the Canadian people a lot of money. Okay? That is directed at me and my countrymen. That's no longer just two leaders hashing it out or playing grab ass on fucking TV. That's anyways, so we're retaliating with an equal, money wise tariffs. And so I think like the tariffs that Justin Trudeau and his government have put on the U.S. are very strategic. They're placed in all the states and cities where your midterms are about to happen. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Republicans, because I mean, you may save a few jobs in the steel industry right away or create a few jobs, but when you're losing the amount of jobs that $19 billion puts forth in the rest of your economy, then, and we're talking about things like food, sleeping bags, boats, like all kinds of stuff that we buy from you guys. I know people are like to think that the U.S. doesn't make anything anymore, but as somebody that buys stuff from the U.S., you would actually be surprised at how much manufacturing actually still goes on in the U.S. There's a lot that goes on. So now that, all those tariffs are going to be put on the stuff that's coming into Canada, we're no longer going to buy them, because it's going to be very, very expensive. So do you remember that at the beginning of this, when I said that you guys had a surplus of $8.6 billion with us? Mm-hmm. Well, that's gone now. That profit that you guys had in trade with us is gone, because we're not going to be buying that stuff anymore. So right off the gate, even before we factor in the jobs that are going to be lost in the U.S., because they estimate 8 to 12 million American jobs depend on free trade with Canada, and there's millions of jobs in Canada too, and these are going to be lost too. So I'm not just saying it's all going to be sour for the U.S. because the U.S. can absorb what's about to happen in the short term a lot better than we can because our economy is 10 times smaller because we have 10 times smaller population. But that nut that you guys had, the fact that you were winning in trade, now you're not because you don't have it anymore.
Yep. On an interesting anecdote, I was in my local Walmart, and I started noticing some advertisements they had around, about how they were focusing more on buying American-made goods.
Which is hilarious.
Well, it's if these tariffs move forward, it's a necessity.
Yeah, no, of course it is, and then prices are going to go up.
Yeah, prices go up.
Yeah, because we'll get to the next part after.
And employment will go up.
Yeah, no, it will in the short term. Yeah, sure. I will not deny that a protectionist economy in the short term, is there's growth in it in the immediate, but inflation starts to kick in, people start losing their jobs. It's no more growth in it. Anyways. So, I just, for the first time in my life, I'm 41 years old. For the first time in my life, I don't look at America as an ally, and it's strange. It's angering, and, I'm bewildered that an American president would threaten the Canadian people. And I'm not talking about physical threat, but the financial threat is still a threat, right? Like it's still made a threat towards us. And it's bewildering. And it's also, I find it insane that the American people, are behind that, because basically I feel like, fuck you then. Like next time you guys start a war, go it alone. Like don't call any allies. Like if you're going to pretend that it's, that you don't need anybody, then you don't need anybody. But the last time you guys fought a war without allies, you lost.
Yeah.
Vietnam.
Yeah.
So, flash forward some stuff from my country that I don't like. Today, a letter with some powder in it. I don't like that shit. That's fucking terrorism.
Give that to me again. You cut out on my end, and that's what it's recording. Yeah.
Okay. So the things that I don't like that are happening here. Obviously the atmosphere is very, very anti-American. It's very pro-Canadian. So buy Canadian, fucking America sucks. Don't vacation down there. And that's fine because you guys are doing it to us. So we'll just do it back. But, in my city that I live in, which is the capital, is the U.S. Embassy. The ambassador was sent a letter with a white substance in it with a death threat. And that's an act,
bullshit stuff.
That's an act of terrorism. And that's not helping the situation. It's not helping it at all. This doesn't work. But in fairness, he's not just doing it to us, right? Like it's not like we should be a different case, but like he's put terror. Like your job, Dustin, is like $50 billion in tariffs on Chinese goods coming into the U.S. and China is doing it back to you guys. That's not good for Walmart at all.
Let's not talk about my job.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not good for the American economy because
I'm just going to cut out that you said it was that I worked there. Okay,
Okay, but I thought you said that plenty of times.
I have not said on the podcast that I work for Walmart. I said that I worked in retail one time. That I actually moved away from retail. Is what I said.
What he said was he at his local Walmart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was at my local Walmart and I saw is what I said earlier in the show.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
I'll rephrase it. Rephrase it.
Yeah.
So like I said, he's not just doing it to us. He's put $50 billion tariffs on Chinese goods coming into the U.S., which isn't good for Walmart. or if you work in any kind of retail situation.
If it's bad for Walmart, and a lot of people don't understand this, it's actually going to be bad for America in a pretty large way. Walmart is the world's largest employer. So they're easily our largest employer. Of course. And of course, many towns, Walmart can employ 300, 400 people easily. Okay. I worked years ago, I worked at the Fairfield Walmart here in Alabama. And when that store closed down, I didn't work there anymore when it closed down, but when it closed down, I think 350 jobs were lost, and a third or half of the city's tax income disappeared overnight. Okay. Wow. And now this is a city that had been long hollowed out. I've literally shown you guys pictures of the decay. It's to the point of being art. But if Walmart takes a serious hit, it will be a serious hit to many small town and inner cities. Like, they're going to take it the worst. So
yeah. Well, if they don't increase wages, if you're going to end up paying European or Canadian prices on goods and minimum wages by the Republican governments aren't raised to meet that inflation that's going to happen, it's a disaster waiting to happen. Buy American is great, but I mean, it's a lot more expensive. So the manufacturing jobs aren't the minimum wage jobs. Those workers get paid good salaries. The bills are a lot higher. Rent is a lot higher on the factories. It's just, it doesn't even make, it does, I can see, so here, his fucking butt buddy Putin. The trade deficit with fucking Russia is $6.6 billion. He's not saying anything to Russia. He's inviting them back or trying to invite them. Everybody said no. Trying to invite him back into the G8, yet he's coming after Canada when you have a fucking trade surplus. He's insulting our prime minister and threatening the fucking people. It doesn't even make sense. There's no rational thought or even just it's beyond stupid. First of all, we've never been financially bailed out by the Americans. Never had to have been. You guys actually owe us $85 billion. We've always fought in all of your wars, whether we agreed with them or not. It's a real slap in the face. It really is. There's no other way of putting it. And if you guys wanted a protectionist economy and you wanted to cancel trade with us, you didn't have to do it like this. You should have just said, I don't want to trade anymore. I'm going to go to court. Let's negotiate. I want out of NAFTA and go and be in a protectionist economy. But to ruin a 200-year friendship because he's a fucking retard, that is beyond.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, on the front of this, this is the thing he's done that's bothered me the most. And I was okay with him, chilling things with Europe a little bit because they do take advantage of us much more. They have a lot of tariffs against our goods. They also, many countries in Europe don't pay their fair share in NATO.
In NATO, they don't.
And of course, they are only friends on paper. When that's not how I feel about Canada at all. And that's the way I hope most of America still feels about Canada. That we have a unique thing.
Here's the thing
in history. We have a unique thing.
Here's the thing. Yeah, they did a poll in February and asked Americans how they felt about Canada. It was a 94% favor of Canada. They just did it again this week, and it's only 60%.
Yeah, that's not as bad as I thought it would be when you started your sentence.
But 94 to 60%?
Yeah, dude, Patriots.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but there's nothing to be patriotic over. We're the ones that are being attacked.
It is just blindly fucking, like, patriot isn't the word. It's just people following the leader, dude. That's all it is.
Okay, I gotta chime in one thing though.
Like don't take it so personal. If
I'm
help
just,
it.
well, I'm kind of,
in Newfoundland, when in September 11th, 2001, when all the planes that were diverted out of the United States from coming into the United States, all the Americans that were on those stayed in Newfoundland in a lot of places. We took them into our homes, we fed them, we clothed them, until they could fly off again when everything was opened up. And now to say that, Canada, which not just my province, but my province in particular did a lot more than many provinces, but, to have that, now to say that we're the enemy, basically, we're raping your economy and whatever, it just makes me pissed because we bent over backwards to accommodate the United States during a time when we didn't have to. We could just say, let someone else take them. Mm-hmm. But we did everything we could because you are our quote unquote sister nation.
The reason why they all landed in Newfoundland, what Ed isn't explaining, is that there was a base built, an air base built there during World War II for Americans and Canadians to head to Europe jointly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why that airfield was even there, for those planes of that size to land in Newfoundland. Mm-hmm. So that was a joint thing between Canadians and Americans. And it's very fitting that, when the Americans needed help, that they landed in that airport and got the help that they need. Listen, I was really angry about it, and I still am, because fuck it, like whatever. Like if a foreign leader was threatening you, you'd be angry too. You know what I mean? So, and maybe I was letting it get to me a little bit too much, and then I was reading something, and I was reminded of something, and it's carved into the walls at the U.S. Embassy in Ottawa here, and I've read it many times. I actually took my son there, and I read it to him. So we'll end this shitty segment on a quote from JFK. Just give me a second. Geography has made us neighbors. History has made us friends. Economies have made us partners, and necessity has made us allies. Those whom God has joined so together. Let no man put us asunder. So basically, I know it's just Trump. It's temporary. So at the longest, it's going to be 6 years. And even if NAFTA goes away and it doesn't come back, then that's fine too. That doesn't mean that the allyship should be dismantled. It's just, one man can't do it, right? One man can't break 200 years of history.
And what he may be doing here too, there's a whole lot of people theorizing that this is, some sort of deal making, and we've kind of joked about it and alluded to it in a way here. The other way that I kind of see what he's doing here, is he's actually acting like America is an imperialistic force. Mm-hmm. Rather than a kind of policing type of thing, which is what we've been doing since mm-hmm. World War II, kind of keeping the world at peace. And what I mean is, the empires used to keep their enemies off balance, of course, but they would keep their friends off balance as well, just in a different way. And that is absolutely what Trump is doing. Now, whether he's creating chaos in order to try to strike some kind of better deal, or if he actually thinks that's the way America should be governed is the question that I'm left with.
Yeah.
Because the second one scares me much more.
Yeah. See, the fact of the matter is that I know that he thought that we were going to buckle under just like everybody else does, but that's not the spirit of freedom that Canada has. We won't like if our shit wasn't landlocked right now, like if people weren't acting so stupid and they just got the pipelines online and they got the East Line going and the West Line going and they did some of the other natural resource things that we could do. This, like, Canada's already a very rich country. It could be a lot more rich than it is if we didn't have a cuckster for prime minister. But it's just like, I know a lot of people think that we got into World War II because of Britain, but the Westminster thing had already happened, and Mackenzie King, who was the prime minister at the time, stated that he wasn't going to get into the war just because Britain was, that it was the right thing to do. And that's the thing. If we think something's the right thing to do, even if you lose, you still do it. And standing up for yourself is the right thing to do in the face of somebody like Trump. And it's just, it's just the way it is. Bring it on, sister. That's basically what Trudeau said, and he should, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Trade talk bores Dustin to fucking death.
It's just, I feel so powerless. So I think that's why I don't enjoy reading about it as much as you do, and I enjoy kind of cultural discussions more because I can take part in the culture when I cannot take part in a trade deal. You know,
I can't take part in the trade deal, but there was a reason why I was reading these NAFTA negotiations, because it's important to our allyship, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew that if things went sour, then like I didn't follow NAFTA discussion or trade anytime before that it was brought up last year or the year before that they were going to be renegotiating it. There was nothing on the radar. If Trump does put the tariffs on the auto industry in Canada, like he said that he's going to do, these fucking dummies better get their ass in line and get these fucking pipelines going and get the fucking ring of fire that's up around Thunder Bay going, because 70% of our auto industry, the parts go to the U.S. Entire towns' economies in my province will be decimated overnight if those tariffs come in. And a lot of American jobs too. It's just you guys have a bigger economy, so you'll absorb it a lot better in the short term than we will. That's the fact. I read an article the other day that was like, how do you win a trade war against the U.S.? Here's the answer. You don't. And you don't try. You say, fuck it. You walk away and you get your fucking natural resources out to the rest of the world that does want to trade with you. Mm-hmm. The end.
And we'll be right back
with a solution to this problem.
Okay, and in the last segment, this is going to tie into the last segment, and I'm going to kind of set it up a little bit, just kind of like the atmosphere, the atmosphere in Canada right now. It's pretty funny. It's by Canadian, so we're like, not me in particular. They're all fuck you for not wanting to trade with us. Buy Canadian. you know what I mean? It's like, anyways, it's actually united the country. So like, even all the political parties that don't get along at all, they all united to do what's basically a fuck you to Trump. So in Parliament, they condemn Trump. So I don't expect Trump to be visiting Canada anytime soon. But there's also been a lot of retardedness that's come out. And there was an article that I read the other night that I had to share with Dustin and Ed that said the case for invading America.
Now, I didn't read it because I thought it would just be funny to have a Canadian read it to me.
This comes from Maclean's Magazine. It's
I read it before Trump threatened us, and I took it as fucking treachery until Trump threatened us. Go ahead.
And this comes from Maclean's Magazine. It's an opinion piece,
which is a reputable magazine in the country.
It's
right?
the Times. It's the Times of Canada.
I just want to make that clear for those that don't know.
Yeah. No, it's not a fringe thing. This is the most bought and most read magazine in all of Canada.
Okay.
And as Dave just mentioned, the title of the article is "The Case for Invading America" by Scott Gilmore. The days of accepting American light beer and draft dodgers with nary a complaint are done. Canada, it's time to fight. Dun dun dun. Future historians will never be able to claim we didn't try, as Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland said at the end of the recent disastrous G7 summit, and while carefully avoiding the present tense, Canada is, quote, the closest and strongest ally the United States has had, end quote. And it has not been easy. A more belligerent, loud, and difficult neighbor would be hard to find. But we have remained unfailingly calm, helpful, and even polite. Can I
stop there?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
A more what neighbor could hardly be found?
Belligerent, loud, and
difficult.
And
belligerent. Okay. We have a third world country to south of our border, where the gangs are literally capable of overthrowing the government and have pretty much seized the northern half. That's a belligerent neighbor, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Not after 250 years of sucking each other's dick, we have one guy being a fucking asshole.
Well, in fairness, for the last year and a half, your illegals have been jumping our border.
Because we're finally cracking down and you're getting some of our problems. Welcome to the continent, gentlemen.
Yeah. No. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, move on.
We were there to accept their wayward American aircraft after 9/11. We fought and died beside them in Europe, Korea, and Afghanistan. For decades, we've shared our intelligence, our maple
I want to pick another little nitpick here. We kind of died beside you guys in Europe as much as you guys died beside us in Europe.
Yes, of course.
The other ones you can kind of stack on us, but let's also agree that most of them have been keeping communism in check and Russia in check. Yeah. And if they were to come this way, they're coming through you guys first. So it wasn't exactly a selfless act.
But that's why I never bring up the Europe thing, is because we Canada declared war on Hitler separately from the U.S. and separately from Britain. We just happened to go first. A lot of people don't like this person obviously doesn't understand history and has probably never actually looked at World War II and to understand that Canada actually didn't launch war in Europe first, that we launched war into Japan, into Asia first. The first World War II army that Canada fought was the Japanese army, not in Europe. So, I mean, it's just, anyways, this is nitpicking. Go on.
For decades, we shared our intelligence, our maple syrup, and our comedians. And in return, we graciously took their draft dodgers, reality TV shows, and light beer with nary a complaint.
No, I'm gonna pick on that for a second. I know I'm slow. Dustin and I are slowing this down. I don't think the American government wanted us to accept their draft dodgers. No. They probably wanted us to send them back. And frankly, they should have been.
Yes.
Okay. During that time of Vietnam, when thousands of draft dodging cunts, which Trump dodged the war 5 times himself, came across the border, 30,000 Canadians headed south to go fight with them. So those cowards came and hid in our country, while our brave men went south and fought under the American flag. I'm sure the Americans just love the fact that they have draft dodgers that can hide in Canada. No,
Unfortunately, those days are past. Relations between Washington and Ottawa and Mexico City and Berlin and London and Paris and Canberra and Tokyo and Seoul and almost everywhere else except Moscow have reached rock bottom. Every effort has been made through multilateral channels, bilateral visits, shuttle diplomacy, and Broadway musicals to find a way out of this festering crisis. But none of these strategies have worked, and we are now left only with one opinion: invade the United States in order to restore order and stability. I know this is
so fucking stupid.
It goes from borderline dumb to fucking kooky tinfoil hat crazy. Here we go. Let's dive into the crazy. The case for military action is obvious, but nonetheless it deserves reviewing. First, America has become a failed state. The decades-long internecine conflict between the two major cultural factions, Republicans and Democrats, has led to the collapse of their political institutions.
Hang on, Ed. Should it be is there anything for journalists how like lawyers have the bar? Like, should a journalist that is going to be writing in a political magazine about politics not have to know what a failed state is?
Yeah, this is
like Somalia. Yeah, I know, but Somalia is a failed state.
Of course. Okay?
The U.S. is not a fucking failed state, you fucking dummy. Anyways, go on.
Laws cannot be passed. Ambassadors cannot be appointed. Even basic health care cannot be provided to all its citizens. Corruption has reached third world levels. Congressmen and senators spend so much time and effort collecting bribes, referred to as campaign donations, are in their local dialect, by the way, that they no longer have time to debate policy nor legislation. Even the president has left himself wide open to allegations he is on the take, negotiating lucrative real estate deals for himself while he appoints family members to positions of power and influence. As with other failed states, the United States is no longer able to control its own borders. Drugs and guns flow over the southern frontier, and asylum seekers flee over the northern frontier. Due to an unchecked arms trade, there are now more firearms in the United States than in Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, and Syria combined. This has led to an unbridled violence which has made many areas of the country no-go zones. The murder rate is twice Europe's. The president himself has declared Afghanistan is safer than Chicago. Sadly, this also means the American government is not even able to protect schools, which now endure mass shootings on a nearly weekly basis.
Wait, this guy just said that the president was a piece of shit and couldn't be believed 3 minutes ago, and now we're supposed to take the president's word that Chicago's more violent than Afghanistan?
Well, here's the thing. He's calling other people liars, and he just said that we're having nearly weekly school shootings. Let's see, 6 months into the year, we're about 24 weeks into the year here. Have we had about a dozen school shootings? I don't think so. I think we've had 2. I think we've had 2.
Mm.
Well,
he's using the CNN numbers, the ones that happen off hours or somebody shoots at a wall in a school.
Yeah, and forgive me, folks, if there's been a third or possibly a fourth actual school shooting. I'm not a nationwide news source, nor am I writing for Canada's top magazine, advocating for invading America, which is a invading Russia-esque, like the hardest country in the world to invade. In the world.
Go on.
We must also agree the international community is obligated to intervene in order to protect vulnerable groups. Most notable of these are African Americans.
Oh.
This minority is systematically repressed, jailed at 5 times the rate of whites, with life expectancy 3 years shorter, and infant mortality rate
has nothing to do with diet.
I'm gonna cut you a deal, guys. If you can fix Chicago and Detroit, you can have the rest of the country. You go in there and fix it. And by the way, you can't shoot any of them. Not allowed.
Yeah. Anyways, go on, Ed.
Other ethnic populations are also facing growing abuse and discrimination, most notably Muslims, who the president has repeatedly sought to ban from entering the country.
Just clicking all of the fucking
buzzwords.
Olympic fucking.
It's not true either. Like, at no point has Trump put anything that would ban all Muslims.
No.
He pushed forward a list that Obama got.
Well, he said talk. He said.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He's talked about a lot of fucking things.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The growing human rights abuses provide another reason why an invasion is necessary. The state terrifies its own citizens with an incarceration rate higher than Cuba, China, North Korea, or Iran.
You feel terrified, Dustin?
No, but that is quoted all the time. That statistic that we have, what is 25% of the world's prisoners? No, we have 25% of the world's reported prisoners.
Okay, how about this one? Extrajudicial killings by the police happen on average 3 times a day. Recently, American officials have even stooped to seizing the children of asylum seekers and detaining them in appalling conditions without access to legal recourse.
That's really dishonest to call them asylum seekers when you try to jump over. Anyway, okay.
It's really dishonest, this whole splitting up. But yes, when you go into custody, you don't take your kids with you.
Mm-hmm.
Ever, anywhere in any country.
Yeah. The issue that I have with the Dustin is what they're doing with the children afterwards. That's the only issue that I take with it, right? Like if you are going to detain children, you need to not put them in fucking where they're at, That's the only.
Agreed. And I believe they're moving most of them into homes, right?
Well, that's good. That's great. That doesn't get reported. Only the cage part gets reported.
Right.
But children shouldn't be handled in those cages in the first place.
Agreed.
Yeah. That's the fucked up part.
Yes.
I agree with separate, if you break a law and you have your children with you, you get separated.
Yeah.
One goes to adult jail. So you're telling me you want the children to go to adult jail with the adults? Or I'm saying to those people that don't want children separated. Or do you want adults in young offenders prisons with them? And the other thing is too, is you can't just have an open border. I argued with somebody about this today, and he said that's what and I was like, well, because I said, you expect them to be together when they're arrested? No, they're treated poorly afterwards, and that needs to change. But you're getting arrested. They do it here too. They just give them back to them after they've been processed. But the adults and children don't go to. So none of these people have ever been detained for anything. None of them have ever had to want for anything. They're all the people that scream about this shit are fucking upper middle class fucking shites that went to university. Anyways, go on, Ed. I'm sorry.
There is, of course, the WMD issue. We do not need to hold up any phony vials of evidence at the UN to justify this invasion. The country openly flaunts its stocks of nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons.
No. Nuclear, yes, but chemical and biological, they do not flaunt that shit. No.
And the man who controls them has proven less predictable than Saddam Hussein or oh my God.
Yes.
Of Gaddafi. Oh God. President Trump regularly boasts of his willingness to use these weapons and that his red button is bigger than anyone else's.
No, he said that Kim Jong-un. Now I'm defending the guy that I hate just because, see, my theory is right. You know, when somebody tells lies about somebody else and you know the truth, you're going to defend them. Go ahead.
What is worse? News has recently broke that those charged with safeguarding these weapons are using LSD.
So?
I don't know where that comes from anyway.
So what?
The world cannot.
Again?
It says, what is worse? News has recently broke that those charged with safeguarding these weapons, that means nuclear, biological, and chemical.
Yeah. That's actually every few decades that story comes out. It's the truth.
The world cannot rest until these weapons are out of the hands of this unstable and volatile leader. Finally, we must consider the Monroe Doctrine. Ironically, Americans' longtime policy of opposing European colonialism in the Western Hemisphere now applies to America itself. When Moscow made Grenada a client state, Washington had no choice but to invade it in order to safeguard the stability of the region. Likewise, now that there is a growing evidence Donald Trump was installed by the Kremlin, and given the president has openly shifted his foreign policy to support Russian interests, Ottawa really has no choice but to intercede. Some may argue that a Canadian invasion of the United States would be self-serving. Yes, it is true that this is probably the only way to end our current trade war. The president is immune to reason, is unmovable by damage he is doing to the American industry, and is unwilling to negotiate. But even through a peace operation, will safeguard Canada's overpriced cheese products. I can assure you, we take on this task with a heavy heart. As Minister Freeland herself said yesterday, we to do this in sorrow, not in anger. That sentence is so bad. Others might have you believe an invasion is impractical, expensive, even doomed to bog Canada down in quagmire. This is all untrue. The United States military is currently deployed in over 150 countries around the world. That must leave almost nobody on this side of the Atlantic. And while it is true the Pentagon has the world's largest navy, Canada now has so few seaworthy ships, the Americans will be hard-pressed to even find them. Our invasion...
He knows nothing about the Canadian Navy. We don't have a lot, but they're all fucking seaworthy. What a fucking dummy.
Our invasion may be slow due to the usual congestion at the border crossings, but if we time our attack midweek, traffic on the Ambassador Bridge should be manageable. And, of course, we have our secret weapon. The Canadian fifth column of actors and athletes, Justin Bieber and Nickelback, have already done more to dull the American senses than even the most sophisticated propagandist or psyops campaign could ever.
Fucking satire.
No, it's not satire. That's the thing. And it's like he kind of at the end of he like all of the stuff that he's saying about like the USB. Here's the thing. It was a way to knock the US and to try to be at the end make it as if he's joking, but like what he's saying like about it being a failed state and all that, he believes that. And the reality is insane. So you guys, like, even if we take away all the equipment, right, and you just could say man for man, right now we have about 120,000 active enlisted soldiers. You guys have over 1 million. In reserves, we have about 56,000. You guys have another 1 million. You guys have your citizens. The amount of guns your citizens have would probably beat our army without our jets and missiles. You know what I mean? Like in a defensive posture. Like they couldn't attack us. Like your citizens with their guns couldn't attack us and win. And since I've seen Americans talking about attacking Canada too, I'll address that too. You guys just fought for 15 years with fucking back fucking inbred fucking no money having people. You'd bomb the crap out of us for a week. The real fighting would start and then it would drag on forever. People stop talking about America and Canada fighting. It's fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. Especially people talking about Canada invading the U.S. It's dumb. Canada is the number one, or U.S. is the number one hardest country to invade. Canada is number 4. Shut the fuck up. Go home.
Okay.
Quit being dumb.
This is my favorite paragraph so far. I concede. This does seem like a drastic step, but these are drastic times, and invading the United States will allow us to help the Americans help themselves. Once stabilization operations are complete, we can begin nation-building campaign so they can finally obtain the peace, order, and good governance they have so longed for so many years. We will be greeted as liberators. Sound familiar, people?
So the thing about the jokes in there, Dustin, that you're like, is this satire? It's him trying to be funny inside of his ridiculously retarded. You have to kind of understand the Canadian
like what we
sense
do
of humor.
here. We do that
Yeah.
here. Yeah. I got you. Well, we don't typically advocate for the invasion of another country. We're usually mocking people with their
humor. Especially when it's like number 11 army versus number 1 army, and it's just like 10 times the population, 10 times the GDP. 1 billion times all the equipment. It's so stupid.
But what he's trying to do here, though, is he's trying to use American rhetoric during the Gulf into Iraq, the invasion into Iraq, and use that as a humor to use that for an invasion, Canada invading the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Suicide mission.
Yeah, well, okay. Dustin, he says you guys are fighting countries in 150 wars in 150 countries, and none of your soldiers are home. So we could just walk right in. It'll be a walk in.
Yeah, man, all those veterans, they forgot how to fight.
Okay, hold up a second though, Dustin.
All that stuff.
We will launch training programs to explain gender equality, democracy, and climate science. A UN-monitored election will ensure fair play, eliminating gerrymandering, and prevent Moscow from interfering again. We can make a much-needed infrastructure investments into American airports that will finally allow them to connect to the outside world, and in pipeline lines so that they can connect to our oil. With enough NGOs, aid workers, contractors, and cash, we will finally bring peace to the region, usher the United States into the community of nations, and create new markets for our cheese and our cheese-related products.
So I'm gonna let's say in some crazy fucking universe, you guys pull off another war of 1812 and you seize DC, okay? And you take the Fed, and they don't even get away, right? You guys catch them all like they're Pokemon, okay? And you have our government. In this here universe, Appalachia just became the Afghanistan of our continent. And what I mean is, you won't be able to drive down a country road without it blowing up on you. And I'm not kidding here. I know people who own, 50 caliber fucking. They make their own grenades. I'm not kidding. Blew off their own fingers. Like, it's wild down here, and we're not even the fucking craziest, dude. I don't even know what's going on in Texas.
Think of Oklahoma. Look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma, every citizen is a part of the militia.
Yes.
Every citizen in the state of Oklahoma.
Here's the other thing.
We still got cowboys,
just the stupidness of it. Like, okay, so we invade. You guys are off fighting in 150 different countries. We do take the government, and it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for your entire army to come back. Like, logistically, it takes about 3 or 4 weeks, and then your entire army is back. And like I said, you guys, you get pissed, you invade us, you bomb us for a week solid. Then the real fighting begins on the ground. Then it's dragged out for another fucking.
You're right.
So stupid.
Okay, we have a Coast Guard and a National Guard. Okay, and then we also have the reserves that are here, and then we also have veterans that just got home. We also have a very large mercenary class that most of the world isn't so aware of, and then we have the non-government controlled militias.
And the police force.
And the police force. That's right. Our I believe you guys keep criticizing us for our militarized police.
Well, I don't.
I mean, the rest of the world likes to shit on our police.
Not to mention every citizen in the country would fight.
The joke that the Germans made about the British invading during World War I was, what would you do if the regulars showed up? They said we would send the police and have them arrested.
Yes,
okay. Yes. We would send our police with their tanks and their fucking drones, and we would arrest you. It's really cute. You realize that while our soldiers are away, our ICBMs are still here. We will blow it. Like you come on. It's so, this guy, he's so delusional. Like, how crazy do you have to be? How foaming at the mouth, unhinged do you have to be to say, you know what we should do? Invade America.
Well, here's the thing though, Dustin. Here's the thing. So just say an invasion ever did take place, or Canada's heading to Africa to deal with Boko Haram and Al Qaeda by the end of the summer. We're deploying. Do you think this fucking little fucking computer cuckster is on his way to Africa?
No.
Do you think he would be on his way to the U.S.? No, fuck no. He's so stupid. Oh man, it's so dumb. Anyways. So dumb.
Well, I guess it's a lighter note to end the show on. Like, haha, Canada invading America. Anybody invading America. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm.
We have more Navy tonnage in the water than the rest of the world's navies combined. Like, and I'm pretty sure we have more downed Air Force, like just old shit chilling around than most of the world has, period. Tanks and fucking aircraft. Like, we still have all the shit from all the old wars. And we still have a large amount of reserves for current wars here. And then God knows what we have out in fucking Area 51.
And he's one to talk, right? He's like America's off at war. Okay, well let's talk about Canada. Like I said, we have about 120,000 active servicemen. We have 56,000 reserves. They're all in Europe, lined up against fucking the Russian border. They're in fucking the Middle East fighting Iraq, and the rest of them are heading to fucking Africa. We don't have anybody here either. Jesus Christ.
And I'm pretty sure, thanks to Trudeau Sr., largely speaking, your equipment force is our equipment. So I guess first you're gonna have to borrow some tanks from us to invade with.
No. That like if we had to fight, I think you've got something that I said a little bit mixed up before. If we had to fight a war against somebody that like Russia, we would then have to borrow.
Right.
we would have to buy and we would have to borrow.
But not
as
but
it
not
stands
the
right
United
now. We
States.
have our own shit, but it's super old.
Okay.
World War II shit. No,
Okay.
I'm just teasing.
What I'm saying, Dave, is if you would have to borrow our stuff to fight Russia.
Well, we would buy it.
Okay. Well, you don't think we're a little tougher than Russia?
No, of course. I'm the one that said that it was retarded. Remember?
Well, sure, it's retarded. But what I'm saying is that equipment lack is going to be a double problem when the country that you're supposed to buy it from is the one.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah, it's another layer of fucked.
And for those Americans said that they can invade Canada, it's like going into Moscow in the winter.
There's
Have
no
fun.
need to invade Canada.
It's too big.
Yeah.
Too big.
Well, here's the thing. You just take like 5 cities and who cares about the rest of it?
Yeah. Well, what you could do is you could slam us with bombs. And then, like I said, just like over there, the real fighting would begin. You'd come in and it would be a defensive posture. Everybody knows that the army with a defensive posture, it drags out for a long time. We'd be losing every second, but it would drag out for a very long time because we have money and they didn't. And that's it. It's really dumb though. Like, and if America didn't want to have a drag out war and they didn't want to follow rules of engagement, they could just bomb us into fucking oblivion. They can launch nukes at us because then they're fucking up their own land too. But they could just bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. And just say we did invade, all their armies are gone, we take over, we're in the White House, fucking, yay, fucking gender equality for all, we're having a fucking party. Like, first of all, our soldiers don't behave like that. They're not the gender equality type. We're like, I should rephrase that. They are about equality, but they're not about, like the 75 gender equality. It's dumb. I don't know what else to say. It's dumb.
I'm hoping it's a tongue-in-cheek type of thing, trying to mock the Americans for invading Iraq, but it's stupid. The whole article is dumb. And to be in such a prestigious magazine, it's just beyond stupid.
It's look at us. We're so much better. America's falling apart. What America needs is for us to come over there and cause a war with them and kick their ass and then make them be Canadian. That's what it was.
Yeah. And this is from a guy who probably sits in his home, that it's like in a middle class neighborhood in buttfuck nowhere.
100%. Yeah. Anyways, all right. That's enough of the show.
All right.
We're done for the week. Enough talk about, I can't even believe that we had to fucking talk about the U.S. and Canada fighting each other.
I know, it's crazy.
Like, it's so stupid that we're even having to address it.
Yeah, it's definitely a parallel universe type of thing. Yeah.
And and shame on McLean for fucking, whether or not I'm taking it the wrong way and the guy was being completely satirical and he's a troll. Shame on them for fucking publishing that at a time like this.
And okay, you know my theory about why the world's gone to shit.
No.
It's when CERN was doing their experiments, it ripped us into a new parallel universe.
You know what? That's what my dad thinks.
Oh, fuck off. I was joking.
And your dad.
I was joking, but that's hilarious.
Beautiful.
That's what he actually thinks. You've been listening to the Everyone's Wrong podcast. You can find us on our homepage at Spreaker.com/Everyone's Wrong. You can also find us on iTunes and YouTube by searching for Everyone's Wrong podcast, or you can listen to us on your podcast app of choice by importing our RSS feed. You can follow us on Facebook.com/Everyone's Wrong, or join our closed Facebook group by searching Facebook for Everyone's Wrong After Hours. You can tweet us at wrong_pod or email us at everyone'swrongpodcast@gmail.com.